Donnie Poston became Director of Schools for Campbell County on April 15, 2011. 1 year later, the director sat down with reporters from WLAF Channel 12, delivering a State of the School address. Now, here is Mr. Donnie Poston.
I want to first thank WLAF Channel 12, Mr. Freeman and his staff for allowing me to share with you my State of the Schools address for Campbell County Schools. And I also want to thank the citizens of Campbell County and the Board of Education for allowing me to serve the children of this county since last April the 15th, 2011. So I'm celebrating 1 year in this position. As I've said several times, this journey so far has been a whirlwind of challenges and a lot of changes. Every day is a new day with totally unexpected events passing each day this way, and there's absolutely no way possible that anyone could get bored doing this job as Director of Schools. But I've enjoyed the journey so far. I was recently told that this was the first attempt by a director or superintendent in this county to present a State of Schools address. And without a doubt, the State of Schools, not only in Campbell County, but throughout the state of Tennessee, are in early stages of historical and unparalleled educational reforms and changes. In fact, many of the new laws and data that will be coming to us forthcoming in the next few days probably could change the face of everything again, or at least make some major changes in what we are doing as an educational system. But realizing that and the fact that the state and local governments are dealing with challenging issues and budget matters, I want to speak in general terms, in generic terms for the most part, and not a whole lot of statistical information at this time. Hopefully by the end of the budget process, student testing, teacher evaluations, and some of the anticipated new state laws, I'll provide a more detailed picture of where we are and where we want to go with some of the revised strategic plans for Campbell County Schools. More school-related laws and policies, or policy changes, have been implemented during the last year than any period of time in Tennessee's history. Many of those changes began in the 106th Legislative Assembly, but have multiplied actually to a frenzy pace almost in the 107th Legislative Assembly. One State Department employee told a group of directors this week, and whether he's been facetious or not, we're not sure, but he said there's still between 300 and 400 bills pertaining to education awaiting legislative action. I have no way to confirm those statistics, but I do know one thing: updates are coming almost every day, and they just keep on coming. So a lot of changes are taking place in the state of Tennessee. And without question, educators all across this state, and I believe this with all my heart, they've risen to the challenge of educational reform. And we, as educators, we're pretty much used to that, because starting over every year, we get a new bunch of students and we have to start over. So the routine is pretty common for us. It's often been said the most consistent description of education is that it is inconsistent. And I want to now just to focus on our local school system. And I needed to paint a picture of what's been going on statewide because many of those changes are behind what we're seeing locally. I certainly want to take this opportunity to highlight some of Campbell County's achievements and allow our citizens to celebrate these successes with our students and parents. I also want to emphasize areas of needed improvements and some of the challenges that we face. And before we do that, we need to take a short glimpse at our most recent past. Last spring, the process of having to choose a new director of schools came as a result of several months of reeling from disgraceful behavior of the former director and his assistant. Their involvement in some illegal and inappropriate actions have given our system a black eye that was not going to go away quickly. Their trial this past fall ended that long nightmare. And I would love to say right now, I think we have closure. That day's over. We want to go forward in this system and want to go forward in a positive manner. But after visiting with so many educators last spring, it was obvious that teacher morale seemed to be at its lowest. Teachers were just learning that their negotiated union contract would be a thing of the past. A new evaluation system was about to be enacted. Teacher tenure saw the most dramatic change since its inception. Teacher and student expectations were reaching an all-time high. The challenges were daunting, to say the least. There are certainly needed, and no doubt about it, to be a major morale boost and a school cultural makeover. So due to some creative funding, due to some scheduling, we were able to bring in a well-known group whose successes have been well documented on changing the culture of businesses, changing the culture even in organizations and schools. As a group called the Flippin' Group was contracted with us to do long-term staff development that has completely changed how we as school employees relate to each other, and especially with our students. Flippin', founder of the Flippin' Group, strange names that he believes that if we as educators can identify our personal constraint types, we can overcome those constraints once and for all. And it is his belief that we can be the best at our given profession if we're equipped with the right skills. The positive relationship development skills that were learned and put into practice has shown dramatic improvements in student academic success, student behavior, teacher-to-student relationship, and teacher-to-teacher relationships. And reports from principals and teachers have indicated that discipline problems have improved dramatically. Some estimates are as high as a 90% improvement over discipline tracking from this time last year. Testimonials from principals and teachers are continually praising the efforts of the trainers and the coaches from the Flippin' organization. With the Professional Negotiation Act being repealed, the present contract with teachers no longer exists. The board, central office, employees, and teacher representatives will soon begin a new process called collaborative conferencing. Once everyone has been properly trained on the expectations of the new state law, conferencing will begin with all interested parties. The main items to be discussed and possibly become approved policy will deal with teacher benefits. Hopefully, this process will be underway by this summer. In the meantime, I have instructed my staff to do everything they can to be cognizant of not just student needs, but also teacher and principal needs. We tried to alleviate any fears that may have been associated with losing their contract. We also realize that too often there exists a hierarchy of leadership that seems to lord over others. I want our staff to be on guard against that attitude. I want them to be accessible to address needs and concerns. I encourage my staff to show a positive, encouraging attitude at all times. An unhealthy, negative attitude is contrary to the philosophy of celebrating and sharing in team success. From the highest to the lowest employee, we need to celebrate our students' success, for we all are part of the team. Things seem to be changing. Employee after employee has shared with us that school morale is up, and that there is a calming type of atmosphere in the schools, and that the school system is experiencing healing from the bad experiences of recent past. Parents and community leaders are sharing the same sentiments. In the area of academics, every effort is being made by our principals and teachers to close any and all achievement gaps that may exist. So the newer, higher academic standards, the testing program, and the massive amount of data that is now being provided will reveal any and all loopholes and achievement gaps that may exist in the delivery of the different academic disciplines. That type of information will drive how that we deliver instruction. One of the ways we are providing interventions for our students is through academic coaches that have been hired with our First to the Top in the School Improvement Grant monies. The academic coaches assist the classroom teachers in developing strategies that will help students experience success in their areas of weaknesses. Recently, Tennessee was allowed to place the No Child Left Behind law, replace it with a new First to the Top grant. One of the requirements for the states receiving the First to the Top grant was the implementation of National Common Core Standards. With Common Core Standards being fully implemented by 2013 and 14, the phased-in approach will begin this coming year. These new standards will completely change how student information and instruction is delivered. The whole purpose of the new Common Core Standards is to ensure that every student graduates high school prepared for college or the workforce. regardless of their socioeconomic ranking, regardless of their race, regardless of their language, or regardless of their disabilities. As the various aspects of this new law and Common Core standards are understood and implemented, I hope to keep everyone informed of our progress. One of the newest programs that we implemented this year is the new STEM program, STEM. And STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. We were fortunate to get a part-time employee, Gail Stanley, to serve as our STEM coordinator. She has an extensive background in science and has an enormous group of peers in the various science and math fields to serve as resource contacts. Studies have shown us that 10 out of every 15 new careers will be in the STEM areas. With that in mind, we must prepare our students for the workforce and college readiness. Evidence has shown that Campbell County's math scores have been improving, but our science scores have not. Our science scores are too embarrassing low for me to even mention at this time, but our work is definitely cut out for us. So through a grant, Campbell County Schools became part of the Knoxville STEM group, which will partner with us in professional development and student projects. We're also partnering with ORNL, the University of Tennessee, Roane State, and Tennessee Tech in this effort. Campbell County High School just recently competed in the East Tennessee Science Bowl. That's the first time in 8 years that they've done so in that particular competition. We have math and we have science camps that are planned for this summer, and the development of the STEMS program is just beginning. And we expect major dividends from this program for our students for years to come. We're also seeing major changes in plans from the youngest in our system to the oldest students from many of our other programs. Our preschool program is experiencing many of the new state guidelines. Mrs. Jeannie Higdon, another part-time employee, is coordinating our preschool program. Mrs. Higdon, along with special projects manager, Dr. Eunice Reynolds, have worked with our teachers and state coordinators to bring a new and exciting curriculum to be used in our schools beginning this fall. Also, with their involvement, the likelihood of another preschool program, and we're hoping to get this started in the White Oak area, is getting closer to becoming a reality every day. They've also developed good working relations with the state's early childhood coordinators and the local Head Start program. Mrs. Higdon, who is also a licensed school counselor, is voluntarily giving us time to assist our schools counselors in some of their training and some collaboration with each of them. As mentioned, Dr. Eunice Reynolds is our special programs manager. She too is a part-time employee, given of herself in a full-time capacity. She oversees our after-school program, a program called LEAPS, a coordinated school health program, STEMS program. She helps with that also. She assists with the preschool program. She represents the schools on the new Drug Alliance initiative. She's helping to coordinate the 21st Century Grant proposal, and that proposal very well may bring additional after-school programs to the county. And she's also assisting with the plans, and this is something that we're really looking forward to, and we plan to really put a lot of time in this coming year. We hope to grow our fine arts and music programs, something that I've wanted to see for many, many years, and we want to hit it very hard this year. So much more could be said about every single one of these initiatives. Dr. Reynolds and Dr. Rita Goins are constantly looking for grant possibilities that may bring more educational opportunities to our students. One of the charges that I gave our staff last spring was to help restructure how our alternative schools are operated. Our number one concern was and is that the schools not just exist for students with disciplinary issues. We want them to also become schools for those students who are at risk academically. The new East La Follette Learning Academy will hopefully be opening this August. Jellicoe High School will also be getting a new structure. Mrs. Nancy Leach has been quite instrumental in the planning stages of these new alternative school endeavors. With her training in mediation, she's also qualified to assist many of our children to get back on track when they are experiencing many of the disciplinary and truancy issues. Campbell County schools are blessed also to have exceptional technology, and as a result, of this technology, we have new and innovative teaching techniques, virtual classroom capabilities, and data available at our fingertips. So the information highway that's provided by this technology has unlimited resources for our students and our teachers. So as a result of advancing and improving technology, public education as we know it will not look like anything that it is now in 5 years from now. Our technology coordinator, Jack Cannon, he stays abreast of all these new gadgets and these new improvements coming along through the area of technology. Sometimes I joke about Jack. I say that he's the one that invented the internet and not that other guy. But also, with every good innovation that we've got, there's always pause for concern. More so than now than ever before, we as parents and educators need to be monitoring the use of our home and school technology. Children can easily learn every trick in the book to use with these new devices. In so doing, many of them are facing social, emotional, and dangerous challenges that could possibly scar them for life. I use this word often. We need to monitor, to monitor, to monitor. Yes, the technology devices that we have are good educational tools, but yes, they can also become as dangerous as a loaded gun. As many of you know, the Campbell County School System has its first safety director, Mr. Johnny Bruce, who for years served as crisis management coordinator for the county and still taught at Jacksburg Middle School, now works full-time in the central office. And according to our insurance agent and those who work with us at Tennessee Risk Management, Campbell County has made major strides in improving school safety. School safety, however, still remains one of our major concerns, if not the most important concern. And we are constantly brainstorming ways to make improvements. Several thousands of dollars have already been returned to the county as a result of Mr. Bruce's ongoing investigations, his trainings, his safety implementations. And because of our county's effort this year, Tennessee Risk Management funded an expensive program for our employees on sexual harassment, bullying, employee practice liability, and educators' legal liability. And I was told that Campbell County was the only system that received that funding for that program, and that was because of the emphasis that we've placed on making safety one of our #1 goals. And also, Mr. Bruce, just as a sidebar, he serves as the countywide athletic director too. Another program facing many changes is the school nutrition program. There have been major renovations in many of the cafeterias, but none as dramatic as Campbell County High's. With a brand new kitchen and a total facelift in the cafeteria, things are certainly looking up. School Nutrition Director Vicki Woodard has shared the new floor plans for Jellicoe High School's cafeteria renovations to begin this summer. Not only are those cafeterias receiving facelift, the new face of school lunch is one that ensures students are going to be provided with healthy meals, which will lead to a healthy lifestyle. This is the first time in 15 years the U.S. Department of Agriculture has raised school menu nutrition standards. And so with Mrs. Woodward at the helm, she'll try to make sure that these standards are put in place in each of our schools. Not only did we see changes in the cafeteria at Campbell County High, but we also saw several other renovations at that school. The auditorium will soon be ready for use. The ROTC program will be enjoying a brand new facility. Renovations to the school's restrooms, the sports facilities, and other areas of the school have been needed for many years. Jellicoe will also be getting a new sports facilities and some renovations at their school. The list continues. I could share several things with you that's taken place throughout the county, but that was such a major overhaul at that school. One major building change came this summer. The Campbell County Department of Education building, often referred to as the central office, moved into its new location at 172 Valley Street in Jacksburg. The building was paid for from proceeds of the Carroll Elementary School. So the benefits of this new building are very obvious. Not only did it bring most of the staff under one roof, enough space was provided to have badly needed staff development, training, and conferences. We can have our principals meetings here at this school and so many other meetings we've already had and have scheduled. A major initiative will be taking place in our schools this summer. Campbell County is involved in a project with a Trane corporate company called the Energy Efficient Schools Initiative Project. This will be a $4.5 million project that will be paid for by the savings that are generated from energy-saving devices and practices. The schools will be receiving energy-efficient lighting, heating, air, windows, etc., etc. So the learning environment, no doubt about it, will definitely see major improvements from this project. I could talk for hours on many of the exciting things that are going on in our schools, but too often we associate success with money. Our students can be successful without all the bells and the whistles that many of the schools and systems provide. But when your system is ranked number 122 out of 136 systems on the amount of money that is spent on each child, we pause to think and realize that in a sense, education in Campbell County is a great bargain. Out of the 136 school systems, only 20 other systems have a higher percentage of low-income families. So with 75% of our students coming from low-income families, I'll say again that education is a bargain in Campbell County. It's my strong conviction and contention, however, that in order to positively change even some of those statistics, we must continually insist on and work tirelessly to provide quality classroom instruction. Campbell County is our home. I cannot emphasize that enough. We've got to be able to pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. If we want to have an improved quality of life and we still want to maintain some of our old-fashioned principles, and I think we need to do that, we need to get all the education we can and then give back to our community in positive ways. Sure, I'd love to have millions of more dollars to fund more and improve programs. I'd love to see the best science labs and libraries, the reinstatement of things like driver's education, more fine arts and music programs, and many more opportunities for children. I'd love to have more and more advanced college prep classes. I'd love to see more businesses, companies, financial institutions partnering with our schools. I'd love to see our students compete at any and all academic competitions and that are out there without worrying how to raise the money to get there to those competitions. I long to see the day when we don't have to worry about just doing the minimum staffing for our schools with just the minimum number and be able to meet all the needs of all the students. What do you envision as the future of Campbell County schools? I ask you that, and I challenge you just to become part of our system. I envision our schools with students well prepared and who will graduate high school ready for college or a trade school or even prepared for a career immediately after graduation. I envision our teachers as outstanding instructional practitioners who love children, who love their profession, and who are compensated well for their training and their experience. I envision parents, community members, businesses and organizations, institutions, universities being engaged with us as partners in the education of our students. I envision attitudinal changes that help each of us to be better role models for our children. I envision responsible adults who will say it is time and high time to stop this dreaded curse of drugs and irresponsible parenting by getting involved with those in our communities who are trying to positively make sustained changes. Team goes beyond the school system. Team goes within the community. The future of our children and the validity of our community depend on us working closer together, working to improve the quality of life through education. I want to thank our school board members for actively being involved in every one of the initiatives that we've mentioned and the many improvements to our schools that we are presently enjoying. We have a very proactive board, and I thank them for their work. Each day will bring new challenges and new opportunities, and as we face those new challenges and those new opportunities, we're going to attempt to do so in a manner, hopefully, that will not embarrass our children or embarrass our county. My contract will end on June the 30th of 2013. Unless the board sees the need to make a change prior to that date, And unless my health or that of my family members, everything remains okay, I pledge to our children and our parents to give my best possible effort to guide our system to hopefully higher standards and an improved quality of education. At that time, on June the 30th, 2013, I'll step aside and willingly help transition a new leader into the position of Director of Schools. As long as God gives me the ability to do so, I want to continue to advocate and work for our children. After completing 40 years in this profession, I still desire to stay involved. With grandchildren of my own, I see no need, or see no end, I should say, to this process. We've got to continue to strive for educational excellence, even in Campbell County. Thank you very much.